Hey, I'm attorney Joel LaCourse. One of the questions that we're asked is, if you've begun a domestic process or a family law litigation process in any of those areas of law, the question is, how do I let my other party know that the process began? How do I, quote, serve that person with those domestic papers? And the law is really clear. You see, in our country, we have this concept called due process, where everybody has the right to know that a case has been levied against them, and they have the right of due process, which is to fight that or to agree to it or to become knowledgeable that a case has been begun against you. Part of the due process concept is this concept of serving somebody notice of these proceedings. And service is done primarily in one of four ways. Number one, you can hire a private processor to serve those papers. Now, where we run into this and lots of questions that surround that is, if we know that a person is living in a residence and they're kind of hunkered in and they're bunkered in there and they don't want to receive the papers, how do we get them served and how does the private process person serve them? Well, there are lots of ways to do that. If the private processor knows that that person is in the building, he's seen them go in and there's no other way out, and he can confirm that that is where they are, that he can then say that I have served them at their known location and they know that they reside there. If there's somebody over the age of 14 years old at that place, and so that person answers the door, or a relative or friend who is living in that residence who is over that age answers that door, that private process can serve those people that papers, and that's good service. If we've seen our private process servers become very creative in how they deliver papers to people. You've seen it on television. Not all television is true, but this is kind of true, where the pizza delivery guy shows up and he opens up the pizza box and hands them a delivery because they're more ready to receive a pizza than they are a process server. But the private processors are very creative in how they do it. They can go to people's workplace. They can see them at parking lots. They try to find them where they're going to be. And that is how they're notified and deliver their papers through private processing. Second area that's done is we use the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department can, in fact, be hired to go and deliver those private papers to an individual at their residence. Each of those are mechanisms where we hire the process server and we actually hire the sheriff's department to go do that. So one of the sheriff's department's duties is to serve papers onto individuals. A third way to do that is what we call service by publication. Service by publication is a court-enforced mechanism of notifying that person, where we say, Judge, we have tried every way that we know to try to find them individually. We've called their parents, we've gone to Facebook, we've tried to figure out where this person is, and they are just nowhere to be found. And so, Your Honor, in order for us to serve them, we need to publish it in a local newspaper to say, this person is hereby given notice that there are papers that have been drawn up against them, and we can't find them, and so we want you to be known that we are serving you through publication. That process requires permission of the court to do so. So we can't just you just can't just skip those other steps and go straight to publication. That's kind of the easy way out, and lots of people ask if we can just publish, and would that be good service? And the answer is no. You actually have to attempt and utilize all kinds of mechanisms possible, and the law defines what steps have to be taken, what is good measure, and what has been good faith steps to try to find that person. Once that's exhausted, we ask the court to give us an order allowing us to serve by publication. And in that, then, we go to a local newspaper, give notice through that local newspaper, and if nobody then responds to that, then that's considered to be good service through publication. The fourth mechanism in doing that is actually somebody can agree to just receive service individually. They sign a statement that's called a Waiver of Service. And all that means is that I'm agreeing to accept these papers. And they sign that service in front of a notary. They can do it at a law office, a bank, and lots of places, any place where there's a notary. And they can just agree to accept those papers. Now, by doing so, it doesn't mean that you are agreeing to the statement that's inside of it. You're just agreeing to receive it and not having to have a sheriff or a private processor come to your place and to serve you, potentially avoiding embarrassment and all kinds of other things that happen through private process and service. So those are the four primary ways to serve somebody domestic papers. If you have more questions about the domestic process or how to serve somebody, feel free to contact our office at LaCourseLaw.com or 918-744-7100. We'd be happy to talk to you about your scenario.